Hey everybody, this should be a funny little one. On the 28th of February, as it turns out, quite a while ago now, I said post a picture of the ugliest motorcycle you know. And eventually, once I got so many of them, I was like, I should make a video on this. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to go through the submissions. I'm going to be looking at the replies on my Facebook page and on the Facebook group. If you're not a member, you should join. It's the Spice 110 community group. Go to my Facebook, you'll find it. Anyway, let's start on the main page. Okay, so number one, a Ducati 916. Yeah, that was not popular with people to suggest that was an ugly bike. I can understand to some people how it's quite angular and fish-like maybe, but I don't think it's the ugliest bike by a long, long way. And as I said here, I think the 996 is a little bit special. But then again, it was one of those bikes that when I was younger I used to look at and be like, oh, it's like a pin-up. It was probably the equivalent of a Countach, maybe. Then we have an XJ6 Diversion, a DIVI. This is what DIVI looks like totally stock. I think I did quite a good improvement. If you haven't seen all the work that I did to this bike, there's a playlist on my channel called Project DIVI, where I took the bike from looking like basically this to looking like what it does now. I'm waiting for the comments of like, you mean when you ruined it? Yeah, my response here I think says enough. Leave the beef out of this. Now, as I said here, this is almost got that like 80s anime cool about it in a way that it's kind of like, yeah, it is very unconventional and very, well, it looks like a trout trying to eat a biscuit, but but I don't think it's the ugliest, but it's definitely very weird looking. James May's bike from the Vietnam Special, the Suzuki prototype from 1991, pretty grim. It looks like it should be like a jet ski maybe, and then a scooter, and then like, how big is it scale wise? Although it does have a front swing arm, and I've always thought that's pretty cool on a bike, because it kind of makes a lot of sense in ways, I believe. But there must be a reason why we don't do it that way. Why are front end swing arms not as good as forks? There's got to be, otherwise we'd be all using front end swing arms, wouldn't we? The Honda NM4 Volants. It's like a cruiser with a Bergman kind of mixed into one. I'm sure it's a very comfortable bike to ride. It looks very comfortable, and I'm sure it handles absolutely fine in the things you want it to do. But looks wise, it could have been sleeker. I mean, it looks like a hamster that's got two baby Toblerones shoved in its cheeks. Another tiny little picture, but the Honda DN01, again, it's unconventional. It's this style of bike which I think a lot of us don't really like or get necessarily, because it's like somewhere in between something. But I think that probably looks better than that. Henkel 4-stroke scooter from 1960. Yeah, it does look like a Wellington boot a bit on the front. It's ugly, but I'm not sure it's the ugliest in the world. That is not a bike, that is a mistake. Okay, this looks very similar to a bike I've seen. There's a few of them. These are, as far as I'm concerned, are rat bikes. It's got rat on it that kind of gives it away. They're basically made to look as ratty as possible. It normally has somewhat of an apocalyptic Mad Max end of days style thing. I mean, look, they've got a sissy bar made of a welded chain. The doll things. It says, never ride faster than your angel can fly. Okay. I mean, how do you get something like this through its MOT for real? Because, you know, sharp edges and all. This may be worse than I initially posted, the Harley Davidson Pan America. Yeah, I mean, this front end really ruins it. If it wasn't, look at that, it's like a plank of wood. It's just so flat. And if you're a pillion, it's, oh, I don't know. It looks very GS-y down the bottom. And I don't mind this. They're sort of, you know, it's kind of like the way that car engines look now, they're not made to look like an engine, they're made to look all neat and sophisticated, all these panels and stuff, but it's not the worst, but the front end is pretty bad. And these, God. And those mirrors, geez. I'm trying to remember if this is a Honda or not, but it's definitely the one that was used in Terminator, so it instantly becomes cool in its retroness. Is that another front swing arm? See, back in the day they thought it was going to be a thing. What is this? Diesel chopper, made in America. Imagine trying to corner on this. No. Why has that got a ton of hydraulics on the front? Is this two-wheeled? No, hang on a minute. Is this hydraulically driven on the front wheel? because there isn't all the hoses on the rear and I can't see a chain on the other side, so I'm guessing this is front wheel drive with a hydraulic drive. Okay. It's imaginative. BMW F650 CS. Yeah, it's very Art Deco-y. It kind of looks like it should be in a tea room, not a motorbike. See, I wouldn't call this ugly. I'd call this form from function. Like, you know, it's a frame that's holding the bike together. It's also a fuel tank. It's got every bit that you need to make a bike work with nothing extra. I mean, okay, indicators and reflectors and a horn and all that to make it legal, but it kind of is what a bike would look like if you had as little as possible. It isn't a good looking bike, but I understand its reasoning. The seat is a bit interesting though. Ducati 1000 DS, what the hell even is this? Yeah, it's kind of got like the tail end from some of the sports bikes with sort of the cut off fairings and then the two exhausts, which is kind of nice, and it's got the one-sided swing arm, but it kind of... This doesn't look great. This doesn't look great. This looks like it's been stuck on for another bike. I mean, I'm sure the setup of it looks like it actually might be quite a good riding bike, but looks-wise, dear God. I know the indicators in the lights, in the mirrors, so you can't get rid of those. Oh, this would annoy some local people. Not going to say anything. Now, hang on a minute. This is quite a special bike, isn't it? It's the Bitten. I've heard of this. It sounds ridiculous. Alright, it's not the best looking bike, but look at it. It's all about aerodynamics. That's a steering damper that's been mounted onto the fairing to dampen it rather than having it up here. Maybe they didn't have room. That's kind of an interesting way. And what is this shock doing down here? How is that... Wait a minute, wait. Is this engine pivoting here and then this shock is... So the whole bottom of the end... What? Someone explain that to me. I know someone will know. A Bimoto Mantra. Should that not be Bimoto Manta? Because it looks like it's got the mouth from a manta ray. And it's got chrome mirrors. Oh, God. A new Bimoto thing. It's got... Oh, my God. And people complained about the size of the exhaust on the GSX 1000. Okay, so we've got front swing arm again. People don't like that look. Obviously, that comes into ugly things. This exhaust looks like it came off a H2. But they enlarged it. The Chinese kind of do this. What you do is you copy a bit from everyone, and then no one can sue you for saying it looks like their bike, because then another company who think it looks like their bike, they have to sue the other company to say that it doesn't. So if you make a bike look like every other bike that exists, by literally looking like you took a part from every bike and stuck it together, then that's how you end up not being sued, but making an extremely interesting looking bike. BMW GS 450X. That is not the ugliest bike in the world. I'll admit, I don't like this thing. It kind of looks like a plague mask, you know? But it's not the ugliest bike in the world. I'll be very interested to try one of the BMW Supermotos, though. A chromed out Honda Valkyrie. Yeah, I have to agree. I can't see a thing on this that could be chrome that isn't, apart from the frame. Well, you can't really see it, so in a way it's kind of like an invisible bike because it reflects everything around it, so you look like you're riding nothing. Maybe that's why it's all chrome, so no one can actually see what it looks like. I want this to pivot in the middle. It makes no sense for it to do that. There's two wheels, maybe it does. That would be so funny to ride around. Ugliest bike in the world? Well, if it's got three wheels, we're going to call it a trike. Yeah, again, that kind of looks like a Art Deco KTM 640 or the 625 if you're in America. The exhaust line with it like going whoop underneath, that's interesting and all, but yeah, again, it's not the best looking bike, but I don't know if it's the ugliest. It's a lot of people don't like this Art Deco-y look, this very streamlined look, although it does look very fish-ish in every example. Well now, what the hell? I can't say that's the ugliest bike in the world. I'd have a ride. Oh, the Hayabusa. Is the Hayabusa the ugliest bike out there? I mean, isn't the idea of the Hayabusa, doesn't Hayabusa have some reflection to the word like falcon or something? I can't remember. Something to do with birds of prey and aerodynamics, and the whole idea of the bike being aerodynamic with the rider in place, and they did far more than other people on aerodynamics, etc. So it kind of is one of those things that it looks the way it looks because it's supposed to be more aerodynamic, and, you know, again, one of those things where function gives it its form. But yeah, I don't know. I can see why people are on the fence about this. People get very, very hot and bothered about Hayabusas, especially people who don't ride bikes. That is a BMW C1. I happen to know the brother of the guy who designed this, I believe. I know I can't get in contact with him. This is going back a long way. It's a bike with a roof. Actually, someone did offer, said, would I like to ride one of these? They had one and they were saying, would you like to come and test ride it? And I was just like, man, that thing is worth too much money for me to be risking third-party only insurance riding it around. I can't, sorry. It's an amazing offer, but yeah, no, I can't do that. Yeah, well, this is kind of just a discussion of stretch, but what the hell is that? Why do you need, I guess, do you need that? I guess you do need that much adjustment when you have a chain that long, because of course you're going to have that much wear between so many more links that, oh my god, I've never thought about it. If you have a stretch bike, you are adjusting your chain every ride. Pretty much. That is ridiculous. If you like them, you like them. But I definitely don't. It's kind of cute. It's kind of got a little happy face on it. It's like, I'm doing my job. And if you're, I don't know, if there's some reason that you can't, can these things stand up on their own? I think there's like a button you press and they lock in place. If you've got, I don't know, dodgy legs or something, dodgy knees or hips, I can get why you'd have one of these, maybe. Well, that's kind of like the fast version. I still haven't got to riding one, and I know everyone that rides one says the exact same thing. Oh, you think it's wee rubbish, but it's really good to ride and it's got so much front end grip. Yeah, but I don't even care about the looks. It's kind of like the practicality and like, is it necessary? Versus how much it costs when you front end crash it. Yes, it doesn't look great, but at the same time it's so far out there, it's kind of, yeah. A Piaggio scooter, that's not the ugliest bike in the world. Screw you! Little sporty looking maybe, but it's same sort of opinions before. These definitely end up looking pretty ugly over time because they get destroyed. I've seen some pretty banged up direct bikes. Oh, what is this? This is, I'm sure there's a G in the model number of this bike. I'm probably completely wrong there. The colour is not helping, because it is that kind of baby bile green. It's very rounded and bulbous. That's again, people don't like rounded bulbous bikes as it turns out. And let's face it, these are, geez, hang on a minute. They look very similar to, the Honda VFR had indicators like that. And I always thought, why would you make the line in the bike work with the indicator? Just blur. Cool but fugly. Well, looks like half a bike. Don't understand what this is all about exactly. It kind of has a swing arm going on here, so I don't really know what that's supposed to do. And there appears to be, is that the battery? Or is that where you put your little bottles of milk or something? Let's not get into that. We've had that discussion. I actually have got a video talking about polite vests, and I think possibly two, because I talked about sort of the results of getting all the opinions in, and basically people have said, who use them, that they're not aiming to look like the police, they're just aiming to be safer, but in doing that they have to end up looking like the police. It didn't follow through in my brain either. I've seen one or two of these, I'm sure of it, and yeah, it's kind of got something Brad Binish about it, but I wouldn't say it was the ugliest bike in the world. I mean, let's face it, if you got rid of this headlight, and why is this so far off the front wheel? I suppose it's because it's up in the air. It would look pretty conventional then, so, and controversy, so this is an Aprilia. They're kind of, again, they look the way they do because of what they're trying to do. They're not going for style necessarily, so yeah. It is interesting though when you see like things like this making, I did say a long time ago when I saw these appear on bikes, I went, that's only so long before they're on street bikes, and it'll only be so long before people start having like aftermarket ones that you can stick onto the front of your Gixxer and, you know, keep the front end down. Bro, a converted Goldwing into an off-road bike, that's it's not the ugliest bike in the world. I actually kind of think it's funny. Of course it's probably terrible. I mean, it could pull itself up a cliff probably, but it's not exactly the way that, you know, dirt bikes tend to be light. You've kind of started with the wrong bike. Check out Jake the Garden Snake's series at the moment. He's turning an MT-07 into an adventure bike. It's kind of interesting. That is not a bike, that is a set of filing cabinets. That is like a CBF and that Yamaha thing and the scooter kind of crashed into each other, but instead of breaking each other, they just merged. The front of this looks like the robot out of Space Theatre 2000 or whatever it's called. Yeah, it's not great looking, is it? It's not. I don't know about the. There's so much of this is objective, obviously. Okay, now we've got this Ducati. Yeah, it's ugly. Let's face it. But it is a bike of its time, and when something's of its time, I actually am like, well, yeah, of course it's ugly. It's from like the 80s. I'm assuming this is from the 80s, or maybe mid 90s. No, probably mid 90s. They were trying to push the limits, and they found them. It's a Harley. I couldn't even tell you what model it was. I don't really know anything about Harleys. Ugliest bike in the world. I don't know about that. May not be your cup of tea. I think that's mean. Although this does look a little bit large. They're not bad looking little bikes. Why is this in here? You're going to want me to pick one as being the ugliest out of this selection, and I think it might very well be this. Just, it's something about those cheek pouches. They may serve a purpose, but it just looks like, as I say, it looks like a hamster with Toblerones in its cheeks, or someone who's rammed their face up some really fat arse. It, as I say, comment below with the bike you think is the ugliest. Maybe we'll revisit this or do something similar in the future. If you've got an idea for something like this, let me know. Post it in the comments. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed this. Subscribe if you're new here. If you really like the content I produce, and I normally produce much more serious on bike content, consider joining my Patreon. It really helps me out and I'd seriously appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to see future videos. This channel is made possible by the support of the audience. Please consider joining my Patreon to get early access to videos, questions answered in the monthly Q&A, your name on screen, and some exclusive content, all for as little as $1 a month. You can also check out the links in the description to my merch and other ways to directly support the channel. Thanks for watching.